Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all again. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to introduce you to David Kim, the newest member of GC. He's in a little, I see him in a little square. Do you want to wave, David?
Hello, nice meeting you. I'm a new Assistant General Counsel. It's really pleasure to meet you, all of you. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so I'm now going to turn things over to Joy to ask her for a roll call.
Good morning, all. We will start with Deputy Commissioner Obastats.
Here, present.
Yes. Shamanda Graham. I see you on screen.
Here.
Hi. Joseph Gregory.
Present.
Elizabeth Nauer.
Present.
Madeline Ligori.
Present.
I believe that Jorge Martinez is out today. Russ Pecunas, are you dialing in?
Yeah, I'm present. I'm here.
Thank you. Matthew Snide.
Present. Hi.
Hi.
Thomas Schnappner.
Present. Excuse me. I was on mute.
No problem. Matthew Smith.
Here.
Douglas Swan. I see your name. Okay, I'm assuming you're present.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do now. Yes, thank you,
I'm
Mrs.
sorry.
Swan.
President.
I can't hear you very well, though, Doug. So,
Been having this problem. I don't know why, but I'm here.
okay, now we hear you. Okay.
Jared Whittington.
Present.
We have a quorum, 11 out of 12.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the minutes of the June 2nd meeting. Thanks, Matt. Do I have a second? Thanks, Madeline. All in favor? First of all, does anyone have any corrections? No corrections? All in favor of adopting the minutes?
I abstain.
Okay. Can you call a vote, please, Joy?
Oh, sure. Are there any, I have, seems that everyone has voted to approve the minutes with one abstention from Shamanda Graham, who was not at that meeting. Are there any other objections or abstentions from board members? Okay, the motion is approved. The minutes are approved.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the final rule for appearances and representations at hearings. When we first proposed this rule, we had some robust discussion. We went through everything and we've submitted it now for final approval. I'm going to give you some background just so that you can have your recollections reflected. The environmental control, you guys voted on this to approve the proposed version on April 7th of this year. The proposed version was published in the city record. A public hearing was held on May 18th. And unlike most of our rules, we actually had comments on this rule and people participated. And there were 4 oral comments, my notes say, and 11 written comments. And in response to section 6, and in response to those comments, we made a change from the proposed rule to the final rule. So the final rule you have before you has a mild change in it, and it's in Rule 6-24A4, because in the comments, the fact was raised that pro se respondents might not have the technology to submit all of the evidence electronically. So we only make it a requirement for attorneys and representatives to submit the evidence electronically. We don't require pro se respondents to do so. Pro se respondents can hand in their evidence in sheet form, in paper form. So that's the only substantive change that was made to this rule. Are there any questions? I don't see any questions. So I'm going to ask for a motion.
Actually, I do have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting we had. But when it was first responded, there was a question about the nature in which a respondent can engage their counsel, whether it had to be written, and the nature of that written agreement and submitting an original. And I think subsequent to that, I assume we all did, but I got in one of the responses sent directly to me where they were raising a point that we also initially discussed, where sometimes that doesn't happen in the way that maybe the ECB would like in terms of getting an original in. And I think what we discussed initially was that maybe there was a way that we were going to clarify the nature of the confirmation of the representation. I don't know if that ever occurred.
Yeah, actually, when you were at that meeting, what we did at that point was we decided that we were going to change the statement of basis and purpose to make e-signatures possible.
Okay.
Right? And since then, actually, and I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot to mention it. Since then, we tweaked the section itself to include e-signatures.
Okay.
So that the reference to e-signatures appears both in the statement of basis and purpose and in the text itself, in the final version.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
No problem. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? I don't see any questions, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the final rules. Thanks, Madeline. Do I have a second? Thanks, Matthew. Can you call for a vote, Joy?
Yes. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask if there are any objections to approval of O's final rule regarding appearances and representation at oath hearings. Seeing no objections, hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you very much. The next final rule that we're introducing is the rule for the conduct of registered representatives and attorneys at oath. Again, we proposed this, I believe at the April 7th meeting. We had some discussion on that. The proposed version was published in the City Record. A public hearing was held on May 18th, and attorneys who regularly practice at oath presented their testimony, and we received 3 written comments. And in light of the comments that we've received, we did make one amendment to the section that states that failure to appear on behalf of a respondent within a certain number of days constitutes abandonment. So we removed that because we understood from the comments that were made that there are ambiguities in attorney-client relationships, and it's not always that clear. And so we just removed that particular section, and we'll deal with those as they come up based on the totality of the circumstances. So that's the only substantive change that was made to that rule. And I'd like to know if there are any questions. I don't hear any questions. Do I have a motion?
Madeline?
Madeline, thank you, Madeline. Second, do I have a second?
Second.
Aye, thank you, Joseph. Thanks, Joe. Joy?
Hi. Okay, at this time, since do we have any objections to the approval of O's final rule regarding the conduct of registered representatives and attorneys at oath hearings? Seeing, hearing none, the motion is approved.
Thank you. Now I'd like to turn things over to Kelly Corso, who's the Assistant Commissioner for Hearings, to discuss the pre-sealing reports. There you are.
Everyone. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Kelly.
I'm sorry, I'm having some problems with my video. Okay. Getting the thumbs up from Joy, so I guess you can. So we only have 4 pre-sealing reports today for the board. And in all of those, they involve backflow cases, and the hearing officers in all of them did agree with the DEP's recommendation of no further action and no sealing because all of the respondents presented evidence of compliance at those hearings. And that's all we have.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the pre-sealing reports? Madeline, thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Elizabeth. Joy?
Sure. Are there any objections to the approval of the 4 pre-sealing reports? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, motion is approved.
Thank you. Now I'd like, thank you. Now I'd like to ask for a motion to go into executive session. Matt? Second? Okay, thank you, Joe.
I'm just going to pause the recording and going to move anybody.
Who's
unplugged
40?
by oath.
Who ends in 46?
That's for us.
So does anyone have any additional questions about anything? Okay, so let's see if we can come up with a date for our next meeting, which is going to be in October. The 2 dates that we're proposing are either the 13th or the 20th. Which works best for everyone? Shall we say the 13th?
No objection.
Okay, so let's just use the first one. Let's do the 13th. That'll be a Thursday. So our next board meeting will be Thursday, October 13. Do I have, unless there's anything else, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thanks, Matt. Do I have a second? Thanks, Madeline. Joy? I can't, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yes, I was trying to find my mouse. There's usually, we don't need a vote to adjourn, but are there any objections to adjourning the meeting at this time?
No.
Okay, great.
It's good to see you guys.
So
Bye.
nice to see everybody. Have a great